Now, I go home, I'm dealing with all of this. I gotta figure something out. Lo and behold, I tell this fool what did happen in court. Next thing I know, I got her family members coming to me, telling me how she running around telling everybody I'm working 2 jobs, working all this overtime, but child support taking all my money. So now, because she not telling them the details behind it, she focusing on they taking all my money. She telling them about how much money I owe child support. So she painting a picture in their mind of what? See, because they don't know the truth. So in their mind, they hearing I owe all this child support and they taking all my money. So in their minds, I'm just some deadbeat dad. Man, I was a grown man that made children, never took care of them, never did nothing for them, and that's why I'm faced with this. And this the story that she running with. Because whatever they say, she right there with them, yup, old sorry ass nigga, making babies, ain't never took care of them. You know, that's why child support taking all this money now. Oh yeah, they was running with this. And it went on for years. It ain't never stopped. Now, here's the thing. When you really analyze this situation, after my mother died when I was 13, my son born a year later. Literally 13 months after my mother passed away, my son is born. During the time that his mother was pregnant, my guardian, who was my sister at the time, after we find out she was pregnant, she's beating in my head and telling everybody how this is not my child. Going as far as to tell me don't have nothing to do with this girl nor that baby. And as a 14-year-old kid, I listened to her for about 4 months. Didn't talk to my children's mother while she was pregnant. Until my son was born. And that day when I seen him in the hospital, it looked like I spit him out myself. And as a 14-year-old kid, I told myself, I'm not leaving him. Because my father never left me. I don't care what she talking about. And from that day forward, I started catching hell just from trying to be a father to my son. Every day, it was constant talk about how I didn't need no baby. I don't know nothing about no baby. And that was true. I was just a baby myself. But you running around with all these grown people saying this. You ain't paying attention. You should get a child an A for effort, for trying. It was so bad, this is one of the reasons I had to leave her house. Went back to my mother's old house with my son and his mother, just so I can try to be a father. And immediately when we get there, we catching hell. Well, why we catching hell? Because we just kids ourselves. She getting my check. We got food problems. She know it. She didn't give a damn. But as that kid, I had to figure out how to make sure we ain't going without food. So I got the little money that I was getting from her and learned how to shop so we can have food to eat. When we first get there, the water gets turned off First 3 weeks, while the water off. We just getting there. She knew about it. She didn't go pay no bill. She getting my check. I had to figure that out as a 15-year-old kid for me and my son and his mother. Lights get turned off. She knew about it. I had to figure it out. We went through hell behind this. 18 years old, once again. My check gets cut off. She had stopped being my guardian literally 3 months before this. First time ever, I'm getting my whole check, and me and my children and his mother is actually living comfortably for 3 whole months after she quit being my guardian. Lo and behold, I turn 18. My check is turned off. The gas turned off. We in the winter with no heat. The first thing I did, man, was go out here and try to get a job. But hey, it's the 80s in Detroit. The factories have been laying off for years. The job market is messed up. So here I am, 9th grade dropout, looking for a job. Only job I could get was at the temp service. Temp services back then ain't like now. You had to go catch the bus to the temp service. You wait. They assign you a job. You catch the bus out to the job. Work your 8 hours. Catch the bus back to the temp service. Get your check. Go cash your check. Get back home. They paid minimum wage, $3 an hour. You get your check. It's about $20. You take out bus fare. You ain't got nothing. After doing this a little while, I realized this is not going to get us out this situation. So I had a choice to make, and I done it and got us out that situation. And because of the choice I made, years later I go to prison. And when I get out, this is what I'm faced with. The courts had the power to look at all of this. They could see we had the same address all them years. They could see I bought a house at 21 when we moved out my mother's old house. They could see when I went to prison, when I got out. They could see my daughter in Ohio registered in school. Her address is my address. They can see it all and make a fair decision. See, the reason I even owe so much, according to them, they charged me for child support from the time I was a 14-year-old kid all the way up till I got out of prison. It ain't no way a 14-year-old kid should be paying that much child support like he a grown man. And when you add the fact that this child stood up like a man, went through hell to be a father to his children, and here it is, you gonna put this on him like he's some damn deadbeat dad. See, for me dealing with the courts, my thoughts, it is what it is. I'll figure it out like I always done. But to have somebody you're married to stabbing you in the back, telling people he a sorry father. See, she didn't know the details about what I went through with my children. But she did know we was together since we was 15. She knew I had bought a house for them at 21. She knew I had bought cars. She knew about a whole lot of things that I had done over the years. Even the times when I'm hiding out on the run, not making no money, but I was still trying to do things, buy stuff and send it to them. Still trying, even though I didn't have no money. You see, she knew about it all. So it was more than enough for her not to be running around here stabbing me in the back like that. And for them to go on with the damn story all these years, still telling it. See, one of the things that I hadn't even thought about at this time was I grew up. I knew my father. My father, if he was around today, they would label him a baller because of all the things that he did for his family and his children up until the time he passed away. See, my father had made all the right choices. He worked and saved money. So when he passed way back in 1974, me and my mother continued to live this great life long after he was gone. So her, on the other hand, did not even know who her father was. So when you start thinking about this is not really something against me. The problem is that she taking my situation and putting her father in it. You see, her father was never there. Her father was a no good father. Her father was the deadbeat dad. Cause hell, I did more at fucking 14. And her father did her whole life shit she never knew him. Think about it. The reason she coming at me like this is some shit going on in her mind with the issues she got from daddy issues. This is childhood trauma. See, all this time of her telling this story about me, she's really telling the story about her own father because she didn't know him. See, one of the things that she told me was that her mother had been around with so many men. She couldn't even tell her who her father possibly was. This her talking. So here it is, you putting all his crap on me. I was mad as hell. Mad was an understatement. But see, being in this situation, I got a decision to make. I had to make the choice to send my children back home. Because I wasn't making enough money to take care of them. I'm paying child support for them and trying to take care of them. It just wasn't working. I tried it. It was the hardest decision I ever had to make. Because after I get back from taking them home, I'm sitting there eating dinner at the table. And I'm so hurt. I got tears flowing down my face uncontrollably. And do you know, after this, she was going around telling people I'm some no good father because I sent my children home because I couldn't take care of them. Well, see, I went and confronted her about this. Because if I didn't talk about it, it was about to be hell. telling her, man, how can you sit here and tell people this when you know the situation? This is when I started to tell her about all the details behind what I went through, but I didn't. I just told her the reason I went to prison was from selling drugs. I sold drugs to get us out that situation. And this fool said, yeah, you could have just got a job. You know, I was so angry that I knew at that point she wasn't going to have no understanding. So I wasn't finna waste my time talking to her. I get my paycheck one day. And after my children being back home for a while, my daughter calls me and she say, Dad, I need some new shoes. And I wasn't thinking clearly with all the things that's been going on. I remember cashing my check. I had about $170 between both jobs. Excuse me. Now, I knew her shoes normally was $100. But like I said, I wasn't thinking straight. So I go down there, pick her up. We go up to, I forget what mall it was. And we get her shoes, we come back. Like I said, I wasn't thinking straight. The reason I'm saying I wasn't thinking straight is because at this point, anytime I buy her some shoes, I buy my youngest son shoes too, regardless of who called me. My two oldest sons already had jobs, so I really didn't have to worry much about them. But this time, when she called, I didn't even think about getting his shoes too. I didn't even think about it. And as I said, when I pulled up to the house, he wasn't there. She was waiting on me until we got back. First thing he said, where mine at? And he was right. So I know I ain't got but $70 in my pocket. So I said, son, look, how much is your shoes you want? $100. That's the going rate. I said, is there any shoes that you can get that's cheaper? He said no. And I understood. So I pulled out the $70 in my pocket. I said, look, son, this is all the money I got. And so what I'll do is I'll give you $50 now. And I'm going to take $20 for the ride home. But I'll get you some shoes later. And I'm looking at the shoes he had on. They wasn't new, but they wasn't just old and raggedy. They was decent still. And on my ride home, it was depressing because here it is. I'm working 2 jobs, man, and I can't even buy my kids shoes, you know. And to make it so bad, while I was there, I went to see some guys I knew that I was in prison with. And they was living their best life. Nice cars, talking about, you know, the life they was living. And it was so amazing to me because they ain't even thought about getting a job. And here I was working too and catching hell. I knew I had to figure something out. But stay tuned, because we ain't done yet. We still got a little ways to go to get an understanding of why somebody making $100,000 a year for 19 years would keep stealing my identity and running up credit cards.